Hey guys, what's going on? It is DIY Alex, and I did not tell you that I was going live today. I normally try to tell you and let you know, but I was just getting ready to work on some things, and I thought that we would hang out and work together because I'm going to make them either way. So I thought that you could join me and probably learn something along the way. I am working on an order from my friends at Complete Auto Services. They are like a mechanic and car key company here in Louisville, Kentucky. So if you have any needs, you can check out the number on the t-shirts I'm about to make. And get in touch with them if you have any auto needs. But they're just friends of mine, and they just started a small business recently, and so I've been making some of the, not really merch, but the things that they're wearing that have their logo on them, just to give things a little bit more of a professional feel. So I'm going to be working on some of their stuff, not 100% of it, but I also just got a DTF order because I'm mostly using DTF for all of their items, and I also ordered some things for me while I was already placing an order. So I thought that we would chat about all of that stuff, and hopefully you guys will learn some tips and things along the way. So I will give things, sorry, I always, when I use my iPad, I always have a really hard time like getting in the center for whatever reason because of the angle of the iPad. But I will let you guys get settled. I'll give it a couple minutes before I really dive in too much, since I know notifications are going out through YouTube right now, and I want to double check that everything is looking okay. So if you can hear me okay and see me okay, please feel free to let me know that in the comments. That would be hugely helpful. And yeah, I'll just show you what I'm working on, show you what I got. Obviously, I didn't really plan on going live today. You can probably tell because usually I'm like wearing makeup and stuff, but not today. Sometimes, you just got to do it. And I figured you guys would learn a couple things. I always think for me, it's always helpful to watch other people, like see what they're working on. So I kind of figured I would just give you an inside look. So I am going to double check on YouTube that things are looking good before we proceed. So give me just a moment. I'm going to give you a lovely view of my heat press here. And then we are going to get started. And I normally try to let you know because normally I plan everything out, but today I didn't. Today I was like, you know what? I'm going to be working regardless, so I will let my crafty fam come work alongside me. Okay, good. So it looks like we started on YouTube, so that's good. Great. Let me check Facebook. I got some notifications from my software that Facebook was not working correctly. So I don't know if we're streaming over on Facebook or not. So if you're watching this on Facebook, let me know. Okay, it does say that it started. So see, it is going. Okay. Awesome, awesome. Okay, great. Well, then we will go ahead and jump right on in. Hi, Candace. Hi, Kristen. Thank you guys for joining me and the other 15 of you that are here. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. I'll show you guys what I am working with a little bit. And let me get the comments pulled up here so that I can read. Good, good. Okay. So let's see. I've got a couple of beanies. So I am not going to be doing this project on today's live because this one is something I have not done before. And you guys know if you've been around a long time that I try not to do brand new things for the first time when it comes to doing them live because I want to make sure that I do a good job. So I ordered 3 beanies even though they only ordered 1 from me. And that's because I'm going to be using sublimation patches on this beanie, which is something I have not done, but I am extremely excited to try it out. So I ordered some sublimation patches and a huge variety pack from Amazon. Sorry, that's upside down. So I can link that for you guys after I refine the description and get everything in there. But I wanted one that came with multiple shapes. So I ordered this big pack because it had several different ones. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sublimate their logo, the Complete Auto Services logo, onto this patch at the same time as when I'm applying it to the beanie. Because based on the reviews that I read and based on what I learned, it looks like it's best to do it all in one step. Because if you sublimate and then you attach it to the beanie, a lot of times the adhesive on the back gets activated even when it's not ready to be. So when I do that, I will show you guys what I'm doing, but that is why I ordered extra, because I'm going to be trying that out on these other beanies, and then one of them is going to be an order for them. So I'll probably make that into a separate video, at the very least into a YouTube short. So that'll be a fun project. The other shapes that came in this pack are hearts, and there's like 60 patches in here or something. There's a lot. Squares, and then it also had like this funky kind of badge shape, which I honestly thought was kind of cool. I don't know if it goes with this thingy up or down. Probably up. That looks better. But anyway, so I have lots of different patches to experiment with. And other than like a beanie, or some people will call it a toboggan, or like a winter hat, I don't know what else I'm going to put these on, but I am excited to play with these because these have been on my list for a long time to try out. So that's going to be one fun project that I am making for them. Another project. Hey Dee, welcome. Hi Tracy. Thanks for joining us. Another project that I'm working on is a couple of shirts. So these are Bella Canvas t-shirts. They are some of my favorite t-shirt blanks to recommend to people. I have a lot of different t-shirt blanks that honestly I like, but Bella Canvas are just like really soft, a really nice like medium weight t-shirt. So I ordered almost all of this stuff blanks wise from Jiffy Shirts. Just so you know, because there's lots of places to get blanks, but I really like this stuff at Jiffy Shirts. So I'm going to be making a front and back t-shirt, or front and back logo t-shirt with DTF Transfers on this. And then another project that I am doing is they wanted like a kind of a medium weight jacket or a lightweight jacket. So I ordered, after looking at tons of them on Jiffy Shirts, I ordered this, and I think it's called the Soft Core Jacket. I can put the link in the description if you guys want to see it. But I'm going to be putting the Complete Auto Services logo right here, so that this is something that Scott can wear when he's out. You know, if you call him because your car's on the side of the road and he is coming to help repair it or see what's going on, this is like a nice professional jacket that he can wear, but will also still keep him warm, especially here in Louisville. It's been so cold recently. This is definitely a necessity, and I am obsessed with the quality of this jacket. I think it seems really, really nice, and I think it's going to serve him really, really well. And I think the logo will look really good across from this like chest pocket. I think this will be really, really nice. So those are the main items in the order. But something else I want to experiment with that I have not tried myself is putting DTF transfers on the front of a hat. I'm really confident that it can be done. My concern is the seam that goes up the front of the hat. So using one of the other logos that I ordered in the gang sheet, I may end up putting it on one of the black and white trucker hats that Cricut makes, because there's no seam in the very front, because that's my concern with putting this transfer on there, is I'm just not sure that it's going to perform very well across the seam, but we'll see. Again, this is probably one I won't do on the live today because this is something I'm experimenting with, and I just want to see. Thanks, Candace. Yeah, I thought so too. I think it looks like a really nice, high quality jacket. I know you can't feel through the screen, but it's fleece lined on the inside, so that part's warm. And I don't know that it's a completely waterproof, but it kind of has like a waterproof feel to the outer shell. So I think that's really good. The hood has like a drawstring around it so that if it's real rainy, you know, he could draw his hood up nice and tight around his face if he wanted to. So honestly, I'm pretty impressed with it so far, and I'm excited to press on it. So yeah, I think it's going to be fun. So that's everything I am working on for them, but I just unboxed my DTF order that I ordered for them. And since I was already placing an order, I ordered some extra things that I just wanted as well. So I thought that we would take a look at that together. So one of the things I ordered, I touched on this. If you're in my DTF workshop in the Q&A, I touched on this. And in case you guys don't know, I do have a direct-to-film transfers workshop. So if that's something that you have ever wanted to try, but you've had trouble with your projects or had difficulty with, I have a low-cost workshop that I think would be super helpful for you. You can find it over on my website on DIYAlex.com. I'll also link that in the description of this video if you want to check it out. But when I was doing the live Q&A with Heather, who works at 143, we talked about this color chart, and I was really, really interested in it. Because first of all, it's only $5, and it's pretty big. It's like poster size. And essentially what this does is it gives you the hex codes for a lot of the colors that DTF printers are going to print. Now, this probably isn't every single color. I'm sure that there are far more than this. But this is really helpful if you do a lot of DTF transfer work, because, and I won't get too into the weeds with this because I know it can get a little confusing. But basically, when you look at things on your computer screen, every single thing that you see on your computer screen is in the color mode RGB, red, blue, RGB, red, green, blue. And that only limits you to certain colors. There's only so many colors that can be created through the RGB color mode. But then when you print out your order, when the printer prints it out, it prints your orders out in CMYK mode. So that's like cyan, magenta, yellow, and blue, and black. So there are far more colors that can be printed than the colors that can be on your computer screen. And so what that translates into is sometimes people place an order and they think that the color is going to look like one thing based on their computer screen, and then they receive their order and it doesn't look like what they were expecting it to look like. So that's why this color chart is really helpful, because in the center here, you'll see all of these like funky codes. That's what you can use in your designs so that you can see exactly how that color is going to translate. So for me to pay $5 and have this huge chart be shipped to me, while I was already placing another order, I was like, absolutely, I think this is worth the investment because I think I'm going to be able to use it a lot, because I just want to make sure that the colors are coming out and they look the way that I want them to. When I talked with Heather about this issue, she said that the most common color that people struggle with is pink. So like, let's say that you're doing, some like a breast cancer design in October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And you think that you are going to be getting, this really bright, really vivid, hot pink in your design. And you show up and it looks like, this like pale pink right here. And you're like, no. That's not what I was expecting. That's the benefit of having this color chart, is that you get to see what it looks like in the actual medium itself. So I'm really excited about this color chart. I'm not obviously going to be using it today because I'm not doing any designing, but I thought this would be a really helpful asset to this, because I've been ordering a lot of DTF recently and I plan to continue. So yeah, I'm pumped about that. But you guys will have to give me just 1 second. I just realized that the phone that is pointing over on my heat press does not have a power cord hooked up to it. And that is really important because that means my phone could die in the middle of our stream. And I don't want that. So give me 1 second. I am going to go plug my phone in, and then we're going to look at this giant gang sheet that I ordered. You'll just hear me kind of moving around here. There. So now we're plugged in and set. And hopefully we'll have less issues than we did last week. Because or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. When I went live 2 weeks ago, it was a pain because I ended up with some internet issues. All right, let's talk about this gang sheet. So when I place this order, I place an order for, I believe, 2 22-inch wide by 24-inch long gang sheets. And actually, let me define that term a little bit in case you're kind of new to DTF. So when you are submitting an order for DTF transfers, if you're on the 143 Vinyl website, you can do some smaller size, kind of individual images, if you will. Sorry, hold on, this might be a little bit loud. I want to make sure. I don't think my address is on here, is it? No. Okay, cool. So when you go to 143's website, you can submit, or you can choose on the left-hand side in Layout Designer, you can choose what size of medium you're working with, and then you can submit a design that is like that exact size. So let's say you are making a design for a large t-shirt, okay? You can click on the large little tab there on the left, and it's gonna make your whole canvas 10 inches by 10 inches because that's the size they recommend. And you could do that for each individual project that you're gonna be working on. But one of the best ways to save money and pack a lot of designs into one is by getting what we call gang sheets. So gang sheets are basically just like what you see in front of you. They're different sizes of sheets with a ton of designs packed onto them. So in this case, I wasn't quite sure what some of the sizes were going to be that I wanted. So I ended up ordering a ton of different options. I reworked their logo and I added black text in case I decided to do some extra stuff in Canva or something that had a white background. I wanted black text. Most of their stuff's in white, so that's what you'll see in most things. Because mostly they do, they like a black background with white text. And then you can also see that I have these 3 large decals, and that's because on the 2 t-shirts that I'm making for Scott, I'm doing these as back logos, but I always like to order one extra just in case something goes awry. It's way faster for me to like include it in my order in the first place than it is to place a brand new order and get another one in case I mess up. Then for the left chest logo, I got 3 different sizes. At least 3 different sizes of these different logos because I wasn't sure what size I would want. And then I also need one for the jacket. So like I've got tons of different options here so that I can basically go with whatever's going to look good. So that's why I packed so many different things onto this one. And it's far cheaper doing it this way than doing it individually. But then I also submitted another 22 by 24 gang sheet. Since I was already going to be paying shipping and stuff anyway, I figured I would go ahead and order some other things for some personal projects. So I put together lots of cute things that I just thought were fun. And I'm sorry, I know it's a little hard to see with like the text coming through. But I got this really fun design with a stack of books because I've been reading a lot recently and I'm in a couple of book clubs. But I also wanted the ability to do a front and back t-shirt. So I wanted like a small, similar in style to what I'm doing for them. I wanted a small left chest logo. So I put these little bows in there for the front. And then I thought maybe on the back of the shirt, I would do a design like this. And that's actually the same thing that I did for this little design that says Psalm 23:3, He restores my soul. I did 2 of the butterfly designs, but then I also added like some single butterflies by themselves. So I can do a butterfly on the front and then I can do this design on the back, should I decide to do that. So I wanted a couple options for that. And then there were just some other designs that I came across on Canva that I thought were really cute. It says there was no way, but God made a way. I thought this would make a super cute like t-shirt or tote bag. Then I ordered this Grow in Grace, 2 Peter 3:18. And then I think the last design, it's just for me, it just says motherhood is my ministry. I thought this would be cute on like a tote bag or something. I know it's really hard to see on the background there because it's like in brown. So it's almost like the same as my skin tone. But so yeah, I just decided that if I was already going to go ahead and pay shipping, I might as well, get the most out of my designs. So that's the stuff I ordered, and now I can just cut the stuff apart and I can cut it in half. I can keep the bottom half for my designs, and then I can keep the top half for theirs. And then if they order more things from me, then I have some extra logos in some different sizes. And that's what allows me to do things like experiment on this hat with their logo, because in the past I've ordered extra small chunks of their logo too, so that I can practice with things. So it's just got a lot of good reasons to do it that way. And it works out really, really well. So I'll just go ahead and cut these in half. And I'll set these fun designs aside for later. I think I saw a comment somewhere asking about Carter. So thanks for asking. He is so good. He is downstairs with our babysitter, living his best life. Here in a couple minutes, though, you guys might hear him come up for his nap, because his bedroom's pretty close to my craft room, and he's likely not going to be happy about it. So you might hear a little commotion, but he's doing just fine. He just doesn't want to sleep. But he is getting, I think I talked about this last time, he is getting like 15 million new teeth right now. Like, I'm pretty sure all the rest of his teeth are coming in all at once. So he is having a hard time a little bit with sleep. At nighttime he's doing okay, but these naps during the day, man, he is just like fighting it like, woo. Actually, it's so funny. When we were at church this past Sunday, this lady was playing with Carter right next to him, and she was really sweet. And she said, you know, I can tell that your son is really determined. She was like, that is a word that I think is going to carry with him the rest of his life. And I was like, you know, determined is a really good description of my kid. Because when he sees something he wants, shoo, buddy, he will never forget. That is something that I've come across that with kids before, that they never forget things. But like, even at 16 months old, like, he's barely a toddler, and he's still, like, if I tell him something, so he's doing this thing right now where he points to everything he wants to see. So, you know, he's pointing at all the things, and I have to just figure out what it is that he's pointing at. By the way, I'm going to cut off this top line, like everything above this dotted line and this rainbow line, because if you don't cut these off, they will apply to your designs, okay? And you don't want that. So I'm going to trim these off. But anyway, so yeah, he's just pointing to all the things. And so a lot of times what I do when we're at the table and he's in his high chair is he's pointing to things that he wants to see. And I say, okay, buddy, you can't look at those things right now, but when you're done eating, I will let you play with, you know, whatever. This morning, it was my recipe tin, you know, that holds all my recipe cards and stuff. But he literally, like, even though he can't really even speak other than a couple of words, he never forgets. Whatever I tell him, like, he will remind me, like, hey, you said that when I was done eating, I could play with that. It is amazing how good his memory is, honestly. It's kind of scary sometimes. But he is awesome. I'm biased, but I think that he is just like the greatest thing ever. He's so much fun. So that's really great. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I am going to cut these decals apart, because we're going to start taking a look at placement onto these t-shirt blanks. So I'm at least going to cut the big designs from the small ones so that it's easy to figure out what's for which project. Figure out some fun little Valentine's crafts for Carter. We met some friends at the park the other day, and we did a little Valentine's craft that, you know, he's not really into crafts yet. But it was fun still to get out and to do something fun. So I'm sure we'll be doing some at story time at the library. But I want to think of some fun crafts to do with him before Valentine's Day. So if you guys have any fan favorites of kids' Valentine's crafts, let me know. Because I definitely want to figure some out. So now we have like kind of all of the 3 big decals, and then we have the small ones. So I'm probably just going to hold these up to my different mediums and decide which size it is that I want to use on each one. I'm thinking that the jacket will do the biggest one for sure. And then, but honestly, I think after looking at it, These other ones look pretty small, so I will probably end up using this size on the 2 shirts and on the jacket, which is exactly why I got at least three of each of them, so that I would remember, or so that I would have enough for all of the projects. So that's kind of the beauty of the gang sheet, and that's why I included so many of these with black text, is since I had played around with that in Canva, I knew I was going to be sublimating this image right here onto the patch and then to put onto the beanie, since the background of the patch is white. So since I had already made that change in their logo, because they've shared it with me in Canva, then I figured I'd go ahead and print some of these just in case that comes up or I want to test something else. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off too, and I'll hold it up to all the different places and see, but I think this is the size that we're going to go with, because that way we make sure it stands out. You know, we don't want it to be so small that it's too hard to read. Let me check on your comments. Thank you, Renee. I'm glad that you think so. In case you guys are not already on my email list, I have started a monthly newsletter that has some work stuff in it too, some craft related things, but it has a lot more personal updates. And I was telling somebody that I am happy to share Carter with you guys. I enjoy, sharing what he is working on and what he's, what he's into with you guys. But, the internet is a big place with a lot of opinions. I'm sure you guys know that. So I really like sharing Carter's life via email a little bit more, just because the people on my email list have elected to be there, not to say that we necessarily know each other personally, but you guys have signed up to be on my email list at some point if you're on my email list. And so I feel a little bit better sharing more photos and things like that through my newsletter than I do necessarily other places. So if you're not already, you can sign up for my email list by signing up for any freebie on my website. Basically anywhere that you enter your name and email in a form, that puts you on my email list. So if you want more personal updates and updates about Carter, definitely sign up for that to make sure that you get it. Candace said being a mother is the hardest, most rewarding job. Absolutely, Candace. I was just telling Andrew the other day, I said, growing my business as big as it's been, it's my biggest year ever for DIY Alex was in 2022. And even despite all the hard work I put in 2022 to grow DIY Alex the way that I did, being a mom is the most wonderful, but also most challenging thing, far and away more challenging than anything I had to do to grow my business. And if you told me that in 2022, I probably would have thought you were nuts. I probably would have been like, no way, but it's 100% true. For me personally, it's 100% true. What do you say? Kristen said, as a kid, we never wanted to nap. As an adult, we live for them. I know, Kristen. I'm like, buddy, this is a good thing. Sleep is good for you. Sleep makes you healthy, helps you grow. That's how we get you to grow into a big, strong boy. But he's just not about it. But you know what? Honestly, I haven't heard him yet. So we'll cross our fingers here. He may be going down easily. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Absolutely, Candace. Yeah, 100% more challenging, but it's worth it. Yeah, for sure. Carter's such a gift to our whole family, and so it's definitely a fun ride that I wouldn't trade for anything. But, whew, baby, it is challenging, no doubt. Man. Yeah, naps are hard when they're teething, and especially because we're trying to work our way from 2 naps into 1 longer afternoon nap. So I'm trying to kind of shorten the afternoon nap and encouraging the earlier one to be longer. And he's just not having my stuff. He's like, I'm not about it. I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to sleep. So it's kind of a little bit of a rodeo right now, but that's okay. Yeah, so of the 3 sizes, this is the biggest one, and this is definitely the one we're going to go with for this shirt. So, yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to go ahead is I'm going to start by pre-pressing. So I'm going to send you guys over to my heat press, and we are going to do a pre-press on both shirts. Probably front and back, because I'm going to be doing the large logo. So that's what they wanted for this shirt, is there's going to be a left chest logo here, and then on the back side, the other logo, or like the bigger bit, is going to go back here, that has like a little bit more about their services and stuff like that. So this is going to be on the back with the left chest logo on the front. So we'll do a pre-press for both. This just gets any wrinkles or moisture out of the shirt before we end up pressing anything. So I'll send you guys over there, and then I have to walk over to my heat press. So we'll start there. All right. And so my heat press is already preheated to 310 degrees. And I like to keep the math, or not the math, but the numbers as easy as possible. So when you're thinking about DTF, specifically from 143, I always set my heat press to 310 degrees. I do a 10-second pre-press, a 10-second press with the actual DTF transfer on the shirt, and then you can remove any kind of film over top of it, and then you do a 10-second post-press. So all of it has an element, or a, I can't think of the word, but it has a 10 in there. You guys don't know what I'm talking, a multiple of 10. 310 degrees, and then a 10, 10, 10. 10-second pre-press, 10-second press with the transfer, and 10-second post-press. So we'll start by just pressing, and I don't necessarily need to worry about pressing the whole shirt. I'm just going to press the area where the transfer is going to go. And I will do a 10-second press of each. And then I'm also going to use my lint roller on that area. That's not a requirement, but I do like to use a lint roller to get rid of any lint or anything that's on the shirt, because, you know, generally these shirts are unwashed before they are sold, maybe unless it's pre-shrunk cotton. So I like to just get anything out of the way. I feel like, especially with black, whenever I use my lint roller on a black blank, I always get a lot of like lint and stuff off. So I don't know if that really helps anything or not, but it makes me feel better. So that's why we do it. Okay. So there's one shirt. And then we'll do the same thing on the other one. And you may notice, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, that I did remove my Teflon sheet from my heat press, because you do not need a Teflon sheet when you are working with DTF, because the film that you print on, they print the DTF transfers onto, is enough protection. And actually, Teflon sheets can actually mess up the heat distribution a little bit. So I always remove my Teflon sheet when I press DTF, providing that I remember. But that's why my magnets are off to the side, because I removed my Teflon sheet. So yeah, and then I did forget my lint roller, so I will have to grab that before we keep going. All right, so pre-presses are done. Let me grab my lint roller, and I'll meet you guys back at my craft table. And can you guys let me know, could you hear me okay while I was at the heat press? Because I think that all the audio comes through, my iPad. So let me know if you couldn't hear me while I was at the heat press. Candace said, oh no, sorry, I already read that comment. Kristen said, never thought about the 10-hint tip for the DTF. Yeah, Kristen, when you have as little extra brain space as I do, you have to make everything as easy to remember as possible. So that's what I do, is I like to make up little rules like that. You know, anything you can think of. Every little bit helps get a little brain space back. So making sure we have a nice clean lint roller to get rid of anything. Okay. So when I was thinking about doing a double-sided press, I will say I have not done a double-sided press with DTF before. So here are my thoughts. I've already done the pre-press for both. I think that I am going to do the press one logo or one design, and then I'm gonna let it cool. And then when I do the second one, so that I don't overcook anything too much, I am gonna put a pressing pillow in between the layers of the shirt because they are on opposite sides. So I think that between the pressing pillow and letting it cool in between, that should be enough to not distort, the transfer at all. So that's what I'm gonna try. Okay, good, Kristen. I'm glad you could hear me okay. Because I do forget about that sometimes, that you guys, but also I have a pretty loud voice. So that's not usually a problem. All right. So we're going to start with the little left chest logo here, because that one's just a little faster for me to place. Oh, you know what? No, for this one, it's okay. But I was going to say something that I do sometimes like to do is press a line down the center of the t-shirt to help me with like lining up the back. But I don't think I'm going to put the back logo on there just yet. So I won't worry about that in this case. We'll just measure it and make sure it looks okay. All right, so we're going to get everything else out of the way and just work on one shirt at a time. Okay. So I don't know, you guys probably can't tell on the camera, but I can see some lint already, like just looking at the shirt. So I definitely want to use this lint roller in the area where I'm going to be applying stuff, because I don't ever think it's going to hurt anything, right? Even if it doesn't help, it's certainly not going to hurt. All right. Oh, and heat tape. I forgot my heat tape. It's over with my sublimation supplies. Let me grab that because I always like to tape mine down, because something about DTF transfers is that they are not sticky at all. So if you're used to working with HTV and sticking it down, you don't have that option with DTF. So let me grab my heat tape as well. Okay, so I have my heat tape here, and then I like to use a ruler to help give me a straight line. So this one, yeah, I can still see. So I like 18-inch rulers. It's just kind of nice to have some extra space. So those work really well for helping me line things up. So typically what I like to do is place them about like this. So that's just approximating. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my ruler, starting with the 1, kind of at the back collar here, or maybe even from the very top, and kind of get it going down the center. Remember, the tag doesn't always hang straight, so you can't necessarily rely on that. Like that. And even though a lot of the charts that I've seen online will tell you to go from the bottom seam of the armpit, I always find that to be a little bit too low. So I tend to go like 7 to 8 inches down, and I still think that that usually ends up being sufficient. So I would probably start this one maybe at the top of the 7 or so, and that's going over like this. So that would be the top of the design going over like that. And then I like to use another ruler. I do get pretty exact. about these types of things, just to make sure that it looks really good and really professional. And I also want them to look the same. So I want to use a gauge that I can repeat on the other shirt so that they don't look completely different side by side. Not that that's a huge deal, but you know, you just don't want to look unprofessional, right? So you don't want to like the placement of one and not the other. So I probably should have pressed a line down the middle, and I guess I still can. Maybe I'll do that to find myself like an exact line down the middle. I think I am going to do it because it'll only take just a second. I don't even need the full 10 seconds of the press to get myself like a nice little line in there. So we're going to switch back to the heat press, and that's what I'm going to do. So what I like to do to find that center line is I like to line the shirt up, especially like the shoulder seams together. Like that. Kind of pull your shirt around until you get a nice center line. Okay. And I really only need it at the top also, since this is going to be, you know, pretty high. And we'll try not to press a million wrinkles into the sleeves. Not that that's a huge deal either, but still. Okay. So we will press this for a few seconds and get that center line just to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence here. So that didn't even go the full 10 seconds, and that is perfect. So I don't know how well you all can see that on the camera, but a nice center line for me to follow with my ruler. And I'll just repeat the same thing on the shirt. So that might leave a couple wrinkles. That one doesn't lay as nicely as the other one, but it'll be fine. All right. If you guys have ever seen Heather and I go live together, you've heard me say that Heather's a winger and I'm a planner. Well, that's the planner coming out in me, is having to press that center line. I just get too stressed if I have to eyeball it. I don't want to eyeball it and mess it up, especially because I didn't order any extra shirts. So, don't want to end up crooked, right? Oh, thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate that. I love my flower wall. Hey, Yolanda, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for joining me. I am just working on some DTF transfers for some friends of mine. They have a small business, so I've been making some, not really merch, but some kind of uniformed logo items for them. And that's what I'm working on now. So now I can set my ruler lined up with that center line that I just pressed. And I can be absolutely sure that that is our center there. And that way when I measure, over, I know exactly kind of where I'm starting from. And then I can just, sorry, my head was in the way. Then I can just measure over like that. So looking at that, maybe I will do 8 inches down just to make sure it's not too close to the, collar. And then I usually like to do like 4.5 to 5 inches from the center line over to the center of the logo. So another way we can find the center of the logo is by folding the logo in half, with like the outsides together. I'll just line up the text there. That's the edges of the design. And then I can press a small like center into that. And then I know that's where I want to aim to get my center point. So no, I don't like 8 inches. I like 7.5. So we're gonna do 7.5 inches down is where the top of the logo is gonna start. And then we're gonna do, I said 4.5 to 5 inches, but on this large shirt that looks too far. So maybe we'll do about 3.5 inches from the center line over to get to the middle of that design. I think that looks pretty good, pretty straight. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so once I find that placement, I'm gonna use just a little bit of heat tape, usually one piece at the top and one piece on the bottom, so that as I move this over to the heat press, it doesn't move around on me. And I have one more step to just like double, triple check on my shirts. And I'll show you guys that step when we get there. Most of the time, like if I was making this for me, I would just go with this measurement right here. I'd be like, that's great. But when it's for somebody else, I do take a little bit of extra time and make sure that I have it lined up the way that I want it to. So the second one's a little faster because once I figured out, you know, where I want everything, then I just follow suit. So I know that I'm going to go down the center line here. Like that. Line it up at the very top like this. And I want to go seven and a half inches down. Oh, I think I need to cut the other logo out. I forgot that one was still in the sheet, in the gang sheet. Oh, thanks guys. I appreciate the thumbs up. All right. So I do like to cut the sides of my film off. That has no bearing on the way that the image actually applies, but like in my brain, if the image is like a really crazy shape, for me, it's just really hard to line that up. So I do like to make it like semi-symmetrical if I can, because that just helps me to line it up correctly. This is why I don't do a ton of custom orders. Because I just take so long because I want everything to be just exactly right. And it's time consuming. So kind of, you know, some people are really great about it. They love them. Awesome. That's just not necessarily my jam. So I just do it, you know, every once in a while. If somebody asks me to do it, then I'm happy to help a lot of the time. Okay. So then we move that center line out to 3.5 inches from the center, and the top of the design hits at 7.5 inches on my ruler. So I am satisfied with that. All right. So then I have one last fail safe before I press a design, and that is to hang it on a hanger and step back and look at it and make sure that it looks good. So that's kind of tricky because my cameras are not maybe set up to do that. But actually I think I can use my iPad camera and I should be able to show you what I'm doing. Oh, thanks guys. You're the best. You are exactly right, Kristen. It is linked in my Amazon store. Which is not in this video description yet. I will add it to it. But it's amazon.com/shop/DIY Alex. And then if you go under my sublimation favorites, that's where you'll find the tape dispenser. All right, folks. I'm going to send you, so it's kind of a goofy angle. It's just my iPad. I'm going to step out of the way a little bit. So sorry for my giant finger because the camera is right over there. I'm going to hang my shirt on my calyx cubes and then step back and take a look and double check that I like the placement before I press. So I always keep a couple of hangers in my craft room for this very purpose. So and like maybe this is going too far. I don't know. This is just usually how I do things. Just to make sure that like, you know, like, I don't know, maybe my shirt was super tilted while it was on the table and, you know, I didn't notice that until I pressed it, and I just hate to do that. So I will like line it up correctly or the best that I can on this hanger and then step back. And then I can kind of make sure that I feel like it's in the right place. I'm like, I think so. This one has the film, like I said, kind of cut in like a weird way, and that makes it so hard to tell if it's straight, and it actually doesn't look that straight to me. I think that looks better though. I think. Oh, okay. I told you guys you were gonna get like the real deal of how I really do this. And it's probably not the most professional, and it probably takes way too long, but it works for me, you know? So when I step back, that looks good, I think. Yeah, that looks good. When I hold it up to eye level, it looks good to me. So that one's ready to go. Then we'll do one more. Tell me in the comments, how do you guys determine, like how do you double check that things are straight, or do you not worry that much about it? Like tell me in the comments what you do, because I'd like to hear your methods. Are they different than mine? Just as intense as mine? Let me know. And I guess like if I was doing a super high volume, it would be a problem. Since I don't do a high volume, it's not a big deal. Okay, yeah, so that looks super crooked to me. I think so. I can't tell if the right side is tilted up or not. I think it may be. So I'm going to adjust it just a little bit. So I want that to tip up. I think that's better. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. Sorry, guys. I was a little bit cut off in that clip. Dee said, pray, Alex. I know it. I know it. Sometimes that is what it takes, right? You're like, a hope and a prayer. I hope I did this right. I hope I measured right. Making with Marilyn said, I'm a ruler girl myself. I'm not good at eyeballing it either. No, I am not an eyeballer. That's why I like to do a little bit of both. Because I do feel like, you know, I can eyeball whether or not it's level. I cannot eyeball as far as like placement. So that's why I do that as like a last double check. Yolanda said, I would have a family member put the shirt on to make sure it's where I want it to design, or just eyeball it. I have definitely done that, Yolanda, especially because my husband often wears a large. When I do stuff for Cassie and Scott, I often have him put them on. And in fact, I don't know that I'm going to press the jacket on this live stream because I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to place it. But I also think I'm going to have Andrew try it on and make sure that it looks good before I just go and place it. We'll see. We'll look at that next. First, I'm going to focus on these shirts and get these done. And then, I can work on the rest. So, okay, let's go over to my heat press and we're going to do the 2 10-second presses for each of these. And then for the, because then we have the post press too, right? So maybe I will do the 10-second regular press and the 10-second post press, and then I'll let it cool. And I'll just work on something else until then. Maybe that's what I'll do. Okay. So I'm going to place this on here. Just like all the same rules that we use with heat transfer vinyl. Ideally, you don't want any other seams on the platen. That's not always possible, but you want to try your best to move seams out of the way. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and press for 10 seconds before peeling off the film. And hope that it looks straight and nice. Okay. Generally, if your transfer is well adhered, you can probably peel it as soon as it comes up out of the heat press. I do like to let it cool for just a minute or two. Not a really long time, but I have noticed that sometimes I have to put the film back down if I go too fast. So I just give it a minute. Ooh, it's still hot when you touch it, but I can peel the film pretty easily. Yeah, it's not ready yet. So we'll go ahead and do the other shirt while this is cooling. There we go. Okay. So we'll let this one cool because we'll do the post press on both of them to make sure that everything's well adhered. We don't want to skip any steps and compromise the adhesion or anything. So the only thing that scares me about using heat tape with DTF is that sometimes when it doesn't want to pull right off because of the heat tape, in my mind I'm like, oh no, it's not adhered enough, but it's fine. It's just the heat tape that's helping it on there, or holding it on there a little bit tighter. And that always makes me nervous. I think it looks great. All right. So 10 seconds for our final press, and then the front side of the shirt will be done, and we'll work on the back. Awesome. All right. So we'll set this one. My table is right behind me, so I'm just throwing the shirt onto the table. Now peel off the film from the transfer. And do our post press. Honestly, my pressure is probably a little higher than it needs to be, but I just left it from whatever I did the last project on. But while I'm here, I am going to loosen the pressure so that when we put the shirts in for the back side and I use the pressing pillow, the pressure isn't really super intense, because that's just not necessary. So I'll go ahead and loosen it now so that I don't forget. I'm probably going to use my 10 by 10 pressing pillow, because I think the design might be a little bit longer than that, but at least that'll protect the front side a little. So I always like to get a feel for where it is. And then I'm going to turn the knob on the top of my heat press lefty-loosey, like one turn at a time. I think put that in there. Yeah, that will be just fine, because I'm going to have the pressing pillow and the shirt. So, yeah. Actually, I might do like a half a turn tighter again, back to the right. Just feels really loose, you know? I don't know. It doesn't quite feel right. So, let's see. I think that's the right direction, isn't it? Nope. I forgot. I think this knob is backwards. I think it's actually, at least on this press, you turn it left to tighten. So yeah, so that's tight. But now I want to go about a full turn to the right, so that with my pressing pillow in there, it won't be as much. So I'm happy with where that's at. I think that'll be good with the pressing pillow and the shirt. Let's head back to the table, and now we're going to work on the back side of the shirt. Oh, sorry, I'm catching up on your comments. Jess's Craft Shop said, every time I use a ruler, it's always off. I'm an eyeball kind of person. And that's funny. People are either like strongly one way or the other. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer for that. I think it's just, you know, whatever works for you. Yolanda said, I see a lot of people using the clamshell. I have the Cricut press. Is the temperature the same? Yeah, so the temperature would be the same. It's the pressure that is a struggle with the Easy Press. And it's not to say that you can't do it, because for a lot of projects you can. You just have to really have a good feel for the pressure, honestly. And you have to have a really good surface underneath your Easy Press. That's the key with the Easy Press, is actually the surface underneath. Because as you push, then you will actually like kind of push down on the surface of your table. And that can cause the bottom surface to bow, and so you don't get as good contact with your medium. So you need to make sure that you have like a really solid piece of wood or like a solid table underneath, so that you're not causing that surface to bow, and then you can still figure it out. But it definitely is tricky. Jess said, I use the same temperature but 15 seconds on it. Sorry guys, I'm just reading through. Kristen said, I'm still trying to figure out which way to turn my knob on my heat press. I know. Kristen, you would think that by now, like that's the first press I ever owned, that mint one. And so you'd think I know by now. But honestly, sometimes because I switch between heat presses, I forget press to press which way to do which. Darlene said, I've heard with the easy press to add, forgot the word for it, but oh yes, the easy press mat. That is a great point, Darlene. That the easy press mat is very, very important underneath, because that is one of those things that helps keep the surface from bowing and pushing away from that easy press. Yeah, Kristen said to use the floor. You know, I don't usually use the floor, probably mostly, honestly, because I'm doing videos with you guys most of the time when I press it. But the floor is not a bad idea, because the floor is going to be a lot more sturdy than a lot of tables, especially like the plastic 6-foot folding tables. Those are classic for bowing up and messing up. Okay, so I do have to wrap up here in a minute. I don't know that I'll be able to press these on our live, but we'll at least take a look at lining up the back side of the shirt, or the design for the back side. So I don't have a center line pressed in there, and I want to limit my time in heat press. So I'm not going to add it. I am going to try and eyeball this one, and then I'll do my double check like I always do with the coat hanger, and make sure that everything looks good. So I'm just going to trim away any excess to make sure I don't trick my eyes into thinking that the decal is uneven when it's really not. And in case you guys haven't noticed, I'm about the most crooked cutter with scissors in the world. I don't know if it's because I'm left-handed, but that was part of the things that appealed to the Cricut for me in the first place, is because I wouldn't have to cut stuff by hand, because I still cannot cut a straight line to this day. I am truly the world's worst cutter. I remember in kindergarten, I ended up having to take home cutting homework frequently because I am just the most crooked of all time. So if you are with me, you're not alone. I am terrible too. See, look, there's like craziness happening. But I also think that was because of my gang sheet. But either way. All right. So we are going to place this, I'm going to look at the ruler, but in the ballpark of like 3 to 4 inches down the back. Because what you want to think about is these shoulder seams. So this is for my friend Cassie and Scott's business. And so Scott's seams are going to be on the top of his shoulders. So you don't want to do your decal right up underneath the neck, because that's going to be like easily blocked off. And the top of this is still going to be on the top of his shoulders. So even though it looks kind of far to do like 3 to 4 inches down, that's usually the rule of thumb that I go by with back decals, because that leaves enough room for, well, and of course, like he's also a guy, so his hair's on the shorter side. But for women, their hair can cover it. But, just to make sure that like it's nice and visible, right? You want it to be like truly on their back, not like on the back of their shoulders, where wearing it would make it hard to read. Another thing I'll do is the same trick I did on the small decal, and that's to fold it in half like this. Get as exact as I can, so I'm lining up those letters there. And not pressing super hard, but pressing a little line down the center of our sheet so that it'll help us to place it. So let's put the ruler on here and see what this looks like. If we go from the very top of the shirt, which would be right at the back of your neck, 4 inches down would be about here. And that's kind of what I was thinking for starting the design about there. And also, because I pressed the front side of the shirt, you can also see that like this is where like the bottom, like the collar is coming in from the front. And I think that that's honestly kind of a good visual because we want to make sure that it lines up approximately. And I may go like just a hair below that so that the top of the car key is kind of hitting at the bottom of the collar, if that makes sense. So I'm thinking about like that. That looks pretty centered to me, so I'm going to go ahead and tape it in place. But I'm going to do my handy dandy coat hanger trick. Before I do it for sure. But we're going to go just a hair more than 4 inches down. And we'll see what that looks like when we look at it on the coat hanger. So I'll do the same thing on the other side. Kristen said 4 inches down or where the front collar kind of lines up with the back. Yeah, exactly, Kristen. Perfect. Are you saying that's your rule of thumb? Because that's also what I said. Is that what you do too? Perfect. Yeah, D, okay, well, I'm glad I'm not the only one because something else that's funny and left-handed is that I have a really hard time with manual can openers. It is the most backwards feeling to me because when I open a can, I have to hold it with my right hand and then I like put my other hand over it and I'm like twisting the knob to open a can. And Andrew has always laughed at me because I literally look like a child when I open cans because like it kind of hurts my brain. So the vast majority of the time I use an automatic can opener. And I think it's just one of those funny left-handed things that's like really made for right-handed people, and it's like it's so backwards. If you're not right-handed, you're like, I don't understand how the mechanics of this works. Oh, makes me laugh. Hi, I'm 32 years old and I can barely manually open a can. We all have our strengths, right? And that's what's so funny is like if you are right-handed, like I cannot explain to you why it's backwards. It just feels backwards, you know? Like if you're right-handed, if you're opening up a can, you would grip with your left and you turn with your right, but to like cross your wrists over top of each other, so confusing. Okay, D said you are not alone, Alex. Lots of things are backwards for us. I agree with you, D. Lots of things. I don't know for sure, but I think that Carter may be left-handed. I'm not 100% certain, but I think he may be. He started to eat with his right hand a little bit more now that he's gotten a little bit older. But like when he was a little baby learning to eat, he always picked things up with his left hand. So we'll see, but I'm the only left-handed person in my family. Like I'm not aware of anybody else who is left-handed. So I would be very excited if he was also left-handed because there's literally nobody but me. So, and I feel like I could actually teach him things correctly. I'll never forget, I was not great at sports, but I did play a lot of different things, like tried a lot of different things. And when I played softball, I'll never forget my sweet coaches. I don't even remember their names, but they tried so hard to like coach me how to do things left-handed. And I was just always confused. It was always backwards. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. It's funny being left-handed. It is funny. And when I was a kid, I hated it because I hated being different from everybody else. But now I don't mind at all. I guess you just get used to it, you know? You just get used to things feeling backwards, or you get used to the way things are supposed to feel, and then it's not a big deal. Yeah, I just did 2 pieces of tape. Okay, let's try the coat hanger trick, and then Kristen said they do make left-handed ones supposedly, and I honestly should probably get one, but honestly also I just don't know that I care that much, you know? If I could use an automatic can opener, like, I'll be good. I'll be fine. So that's usually what I go by. Actually, guys, we are running up on time here, so I think that I am going to cut the live off here. So this is what they're going to look like, and I will post some pictures in my Facebook group when we are finished with the whole order. I'd love to show you guys how it turned out, because I think this is so much easier. I know we didn't talk a lot about it, so I will talk quickly, and then we will wrap things up. But I really like working with DTF for a lot of different reasons. But one of them, sorry, I'm always crooked on my iPad in the frame. One of the reasons why I really like working with DTF is because there's absolutely no weeding, and I don't have to make sure that everything is lined up. So especially with like this logo, where there's like the spacing in between these lines and the spacing in between these lines, trying to make sure that everything is perfectly lined up when you have, like, in this case, it would be 3 different colors. I would have to do white, and then like a light blue and a darker blue. Trying to get those 3 layers like cut, weeded, and layered correctly so they look the same on every single shirt would be really, really hard to do. Whereas with DTF, I can just upload my design and I get tons of designs that are already done for me. That makes things so much faster. So that's why I like DTF. I think it's way easier and way simpler. And so if you haven't tried it, I would encourage you to do so. And I have been shopping with 143. There are lots of great companies out there who do DTF. 143 is definitely not exclusive, but they're just who I've tended to use. So I also have, I mentioned it earlier, but I have a DTF workshop where for $29 you can get a lifetime access to a hour-long masterclass that teaches you all of the basics about DTF. Plus, it includes downloadable notes as well as a recorded Q&A session that I did with Heather, who runs 143. And we were able to talk about all different kinds of questions, different things that people often call 143 and ask about. And so I think it's a really, really value-packed workshop that would be really helpful for you if you're struggling with DTF. So I will link it down in the description for you of this video, but you can also find more information about my workshop over on my website at DIYAlex.com. And also hopefully you've learned a couple things in this video and seen what it actually looks like to get these lined up, because it's not always a perfect science, but it works really well, and DTF is great. So it was great chatting with you guys and doing a bit of an impromptu live. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to DIY Alex so that you get notified when I do more lives or when I post new videos whenever I can. Thank you guys so much. All the hearts. I'll see you next time. Bye.